never considered killing me. I wanted to get away from him, but I didn't know how. And I had just asked God to let me die. He always told me that I was the reason that he was angry, and I was the reason why the kids got in trouble, and I was the reason why we were poor, and I was the reason why everything bad happened in our lives. And so I figured if I was gone and I wasn't around, then he'd be happy, and then the kids would be safer, and they'd be happy.
She was always developing, and learning new things. She loved life. She was full of life. And people loved her. She tells us we made marriage look easy. She said, I knew you didn't always agree, but she said, you just made marriage look so beautiful and so easy. And I just assumed that's the way marriage was going to be. He really did begin to convince her that it was her fault for the problems they had. And so she just kept trying and trying to do better to make the marriage work.
When I was arrested, I had 9 children at home. My youngest was 6.5 weeks, 47 days, and my oldest was 16. I called the women's shelter and talked to them and told them some of the things that were going on, the abuse to the kids and to myself. They recommended that I go to the courthouse and get a restraining order. And so I went in and I filled out the paperwork and I had a meeting with the judge, and the kids and I weren't covered with bruises at that moment. And he looked at me and he said, you don't need a restraining order. You just have marital problems. You need to go home and make up with your husband. He advised me, he says, in fact, you're breaking the law by removing your kids from the state of California without their father's permission. Here I was in a situation where I was worried that I was going to get in trouble with the law, and I no longer had any protection. Graydon knew where my mom and dad's house was, and that's where I was at. And if he showed up, we couldn't even call the police and ask for help because I couldn't have a restraining order. He apologized for all the ugly things that he'd said to me and all of the threats, and he promised that if I came home, everything would be fine, and that he had gone and talked to a marriage counselor, and if I just came home, we could work things out and everything would be fine. In combination with what the judge had said was confirmation to me that that's what I should do. Let's go back to him.
When she had fled California and came to our home with the 3 little ones, and we had 2 or 3 days where she was kind of like the old Robyn, and we just enjoyed her, and she was relaxed, and we enjoyed the children. But then once she had this conversation with him on the phone, she was a different person.
It was like she had to steel herself in order to live the way he wanted her to. So she couldn't be her natural self with us. She would put on this steeled type of personality so that she could live to please him.
If she were to get out soon, do you think she'd be able to support herself?
Oh, yes. Robyn would work 3 jobs if that's what it took. That girl has energy and drive.
I actually have fine-tuned some of the employable skills that I had prior to prison, as far as secretarial work, upgrading my computer skills. And then for the last year, I've also been teaching a sewing class and all of that. But I have an acquaintance in here who owns a company that actually helps liaison between felon-friendly companies around the state, and either also in Northern California. And she has told me, when we get out, we'll find you a job.
I'm the owner of All Star Labor and Staffing, and we are just now 8 years old. And we have a very successful employment agency where we've found a lot of employers, great employees in the community. And Robyn is absolutely amazing, and I would love to get the opportunity to place her in my internal staff, most likely.
Why internal?
Because she's such a good communicator and such a good leader. I would see her be very effective with my staffing coordinators in-house.
I do wish that the legal system was set up to help women like this.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough understanding of the dynamics in a family like this, and why and how it can happen. David, one of the last things he said in court to the judge, he said, "Would you please be lenient on my mom, because she's just as much a victim as we."
I just really would like the opportunity to experience life where I can make good public choices and I don't have a husband telling me what to do. And I have learned how to set my own boundaries and make my own choices. And I think I'm making very good healthy choices. And I'm done having somebody else coerce me into doing things that I know were against my heart and weren't right.